Welcome to Table for One. I'm the narrator, and in today's video, I'll be doing a rules refresher for Earthborne Rangers. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about traveling and camping. Let's get rolling. Alright, so I am all set up now to tell you about traveling, and then I also want to talk about camping. They are two different but related concepts in this game. So as always in these Earthborne Rangers rules refresher videos, I'm not going to show any spoiler content. You'll only see cards that would be available during Ranger creation or during the first time you play. So we've got Lone Tree Station here, we've got the Woods terrain path deck, and then again all my ranger cards are ones that you would have access to when you set up the game. And let me add some tokens here. Okay, so in this scenario that I've set up, I've got my two rangers here. They've each got their deck of their cards in their hand, sort of splayed out so you can see them a little bit. So these cards are in hand. This ranger on the right has spider pad gloves equipped. I'm sorry, this is the left. This ranger on the left has spider pad gloves equipped, and within reach of that ranger is a Sitka buck, which is ready, and then an exhausted Sunbury bramble. And the ranger on the right has these cards here in hand, no gear equipped. And then in there within reach, there is a ready Prowling Woolhund and an exhausted Prowling Woolhund. Along the way, we have this overgrown thicket, which is an obstacle, and we're at Lone Tree Station. That's our location. I did not bother putting out any weather card because it's not relevant for this video right now, and there are no missions out right now. You may have no missions at any given time. You may have multiple missions, but right now there's none. And then I've placed out just the energy that I'm going to need for this video. So let's assume that we're several turns into this round, and we've sort of already spent all of our spirit and focus, and this ranger on the left has already spent their awareness as well. So our goal this round is to try and travel. We would like to leave Lone Tree Station. And let me take the reminder card out here for a moment. So there's the round structure at the beginning of each round. First, there's path cards. Each ranger draws one path card. Then rangers take turns. That's where most of the game happens, and that's the phase we're in right now. So each ranger on their turn can either play a card, perform a test, or rest. Then, when all rangers have rested, then there's the travel phase, and that's followed by the refresh phase. So we are in the ranger turns. We're taking our actions right now. We're playing cards and performing tests. Neither ranger has rested yet, and we would like to travel. We would like to leave this location. So a couple things to point out here, and these are things that I covered a little bit in a previous video on tests. If you have not seen the video on tests, it covers both taking tests and resolving challenge effects. I'd recommend watching that one. I've also got another video in this series, and I've got a whole playlist on this series, but there's another video that is all about clearing cards and what the thresholds are to clear cards, and it also talks about ranger tokens and how those work. So I would recommend being familiar with all those concepts as well. So go watch those videos if you haven't. Otherwise, let's keep going. So the location card is a little bit different than all the path cards. It does have a presence value, no, that's right, presence. Sometimes I second guess myself. It does. All these path cards have a presence value in the top right corner. The location has a presence value in the bottom left corner. And then all these path cards, they have thresholds to clear for both harm and progress, harm and progress, harm and progress. The threshold for the location is only the progress type. And so in this instance at Lone Tree Station, it has a presence value of 1. And to clear Lone Tree Station, you will need progress equal to 3R, which again is 3 per ranger playing. So that's 6 presence in this case with a two-handed solo. There's 2 rangers, so that's going to be 6 presence. So what that means is when we are done, let me bring this round structure card back onto the screen here for a second. When we are done with our ranger turns and all rangers have passed, we may choose to travel to a new location if and only if we have the required amount, at least the required amount of progress on this location, in our current location. So we would need 6. Again, I've got the I've got the die here. You may have the punch out tokens, but in that case, it would be 6 tokens, right? And let's get another prop here. When I say travel to a new location, that means we're going to take our valley map here. We're at Lone Tree Station. So if we were able to travel, then we would move, and we're in the travel phase, we would move either to Atrox Mountain here using the Mountain Pass terrain type. We could go to White Sky using the Lakeshore terrain type. We can go to Boulder Field using the Woods terrain type, or we could go to Ancestors Grove using the Old Growth terrain type. Those are the 4 adjacent places to Lone Tree Station, and those are the terrains along the way. So we could go to any of those places, and perhaps we're trying to get to one of them. So that's why we would be wanting to travel, sort of broadly how that works. So again, when you get to the travel phase, if there is progress equal to or greater than the threshold on the location, you may travel if there are no active obstacles. And so, or I should say ready obstacles. So this obstacle right here, this overgrown thicket has the obstacle keyword on it, and it is ready. If there's a ready obstacle, that prevents you from traveling. So let's say we had 6 progress, all rangers rested, we get to the travel phase. Well, even though we've got the progress on the card, we can't travel because there's a ready obstacle. The next step in the round structure is refresh, and during that phase, we ready all cards. So then you start your next round, basically. So let me not get ahead of myself here. Let me remove this now, and let me remove all this progress. So let's go through an example of how we might try and leave Lone Tree Station and how we might deal with this obstacle. So we're going to simulate taking a couple turns, starting with this ranger on the left. So this ranger would like to traverse Lone Tree Station because that's how you put progress on it. You take the basic traverse test. So if we look at our common tests here, the one on the very top is traverse. So this test takes fit energy, it takes fitness energy type, and you can modify it with exploration approach icon. So it says the value that you need to succeed on this test is X. So that is going to equal the presence of the card with which you're interacting, and the minimum must be 1. So we're interacting with Lone Tree Station with this card. The presence of this card is 1. So to traverse, we have to take this fitness modified by exploration test, and we must have at least 1 effort committed at the end of the test in order to succeed. And then we add progress to the location equal to our effort. And don't forget, if you fail this test, you suffer 1 injury. So I'm going to leave this card here just for reference, but this ranger would like to do the traverse test on Lone Tree Station. Now again, this overgrown thicket along the way is an obstacle, and you cannot interact past obstacles, or past ready obstacles, again I should say. This is a ready obstacle, it's not exhausted, it's ready. So we can't reach Lone Tree Station normally because there's an obstacle between us and the obstacle, or between us and the card we're trying to interact with, this location. So let's take a look now at this equipped gear. We've got spider pad gloves, and there is a test on it. We're not going to use this test. We don't need to worry about it. But there is a passive ability. It says, during your turn, you may treat obstacles as if they did not have the obstacle keyword. So that's pretty useful. Now, importantly, it says during your turn. So that only applies on your own turn during the ranger turn step. When you get to the travel step, if this obstacle is still ready and you've got enough progress on your location, it's still treated as a ready obstacle because it is no longer your turn, so you can no longer ignore that obstacle keyword. But in the meantime, it's our turn. We're going to ignore this keyword, and we're going to do a traverse test on Lone Tree Station. So first we're going to commit effort, and we've got 2 fitness energy here. This is a fitness type test. So we're going to commit those 2, and then we can also modify it with exploration icons. Now, of all the cards in my hand here, this Strider card has 3 exploration icons, which sounds pretty sweet. We would like to use it. Unfortunately, the card also says you can only commit this attribute when interacting with a trail. And Lone Tree Station here is not a trail, so it's got the tags location, pivotal, forest, and ranger station, but not trail. So even though we've got all these approach icons, we can't use them. The card prohibits us from doing that, and we don't have any other exploration approach icons to commit. So this is our full commitment here, is just these 2 fitness. Remember, we're aiming to have a minimum of 1 effort when we're done with this test. We still have to draw a challenge card, and if we fail this test, we'll suffer 1 injury. So we'll only suffer the injury in this case if we draw a -2. If we draw a -1, we'll succeed, and so that would not be like a huge, great success, but it would be better than getting an injury, and it'll put some progress on Lone Tree Station anyway, with an obstacle in the way to boot. So that's kind of nice. Now, the other thing I don't want to forget is when I am going to take this test on Lone Tree Station, I still have to suffer fatigue for all ready cards between me and the card I'm interacting with. So the Sitka Buck will fatigue me for 1. The Sunbury Bramble will not fatigue me because it's exhausted, and the Overgrown Thicket will exhaust me for 1. It still has a presence value of 1, even though I'm ignoring its obstacle keyword. So now we draw our challenge card, and we get a -1. So let's resolve this. I committed 2 effort, -1 is a total of 1 effort. We needed to get at least 1 because that is the threshold here on Lone Tree Station. So this test is now successful, so we can add progress to this location equal to our effort. So we get to add exactly 1 token. We add 1 to Lone Tree Station. So it's better than nothing. Now this energy is spent, and now we need to resolve this challenge effect card. So we don't have a weather card out, so we're just going to ignore that for now. Normally, there's always a weather card. They won't always have a challenge effect, but we would resolve that effect. There's no challenge icons here on Lone Tree Station. We have no missions. Overgrown Thicket here does have a challenge effect icon that matches this mountain icon, and it says to discard 1 progress from this feature. We don't have any progress on this feature, so we cannot complete it. Therefore, we ignore everything that comes after this double arrow. If we did have progress, we would discard 1, and then it would say this would fatigue me. So I would take 1 more fatigue, but we can't complete that. Next, we move down to our own within reach. There is a blue mountain icon on the Sunbury Bramble, but we ignore it because the card is exhausted. Then we check the Sitka Buck, which has all 3 of the symbols on it. And this mountain symbol says, if there is an active predator, exhaust it. And then there's a double arrow. There is no active predator. There is a ready predator over here, this prowling wolfhound, but it is not active because we did not interact with this other rangers within reach area. So again, there are no active predators here, so we cannot complete that, so we can ignore everything after those double arrows. And that's it. We've now resolved all the challenge effects, so we put this card back here. We've got 1 progress on Lone Tree Station. Now it's this ranger's turn, this ranger on the right, and for their turn, they're going to play a card. And so they have this card in their hand. This is Share in the Valley's Secrets, and it has a cost of 3 awareness. So we need to spend all 3 of these tokens to play this card. So we play the card, that's our turn, and it says exhaust each obstacle. So this is an obstacle, and we can now exhaust it. And if there were other obstacles, we would exhaust those too. Suffer fatigue equal to the number of obstacles exhausted this way. Well, we exhausted exactly 1 obstacle, so we suffer 1 fatigue, which is pretty nice. So it didn't matter if the obstacle had, 3 presents. We wouldn't have to suffer all that much fatigue. And now that's it for the card, so it gets discarded. This energy is spent. We'll just set it aside. And now here's a trick. Don't forget about it. You may, if your roll card is active, you may exhaust your roll card for the same ranger to take another turn again. Now that really only applies when there's more than 1 ranger playing and more than 1 ranger who has not rested yet. If this ranger had already rested, then this ranger here on the right could just keep taking turns over and over until they choose to rest as well. But because neither ranger has rested, this ranger on the right is going to exhaust their roll card, and now they may take another turn. And now they are going to perform the traverse test on Lone Tree Station as well. They don't have the spider pad gloves, but they can now interact past the obstacle because the obstacle is exhausted. So we're going to take the basic traverse test. I'll commit these 2 fitness. And then if I look at the cards in my hand, I do have phonoscopic headset twice. I don't really need to equip both of them. So I'm going to commit one of those for its approach icon, for its exploration icon. And then I've also got this attribute card Bold, which doesn't have any requirements on it or any special rules, just some flavor text. So that'll get me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 effort. So 5 effort seems like a good amount to me. Before I perform the test, every ready card between me and the the card I'm interacting with will exhaust me. So this Prowling Wolfhound will give me 2 fatigue. Fatigue me is what I should have said, not exhaust me. I get 2 fatigue from this ready Prowling Wolfhound. This exhausted prowling woolhind has a presence of 2, but it does not fatigue me because it is exhausted. This exhausted obstacle, the overgrown thicket, cannot fatigue me as well, even though it has a presence of 1 because it's not between, or because it's exhausted. And now we'll take the test here on Lone Tree Station. So I need to get at least 1 to pass the test. And I will. I've committed 5, so even if I draw a -2, I'll end up with 3 effort, putting 3 progress on that card. So I'm feeling pretty safe, but let's draw that challenge card, and we get a 0. So we add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 progress to Lone Tree Station. That gets us up to 6, which is the threshold. And now we've got the sun icon, so we check weather, location, missions along the way, and then our own within reach. This card cannot be resolved because it is exhausted, but this one is not exhausted. This one is ready and active, so it says, ready another Prowling Woolhind. So this Prowling Woolhind is now readied. And then again, there is a sun icon here on this Sitka buck, but that is in another Rangers within reach, and I did not interact with that area, so that card is not active right now, even though it's ready. So we've now resolved all the sun icons. I can put this challenge card away. The cards that I used go into my discard. This energy is spent. Now we go back to the Ranger on the left. They decide to pass. I go to the Ranger on the right. And they decide to rest. That's the word for it, not pass. So they've both rested now. So since all Rangers have rested, we go to the next phase in the round structure, and that is travel. So if the location has progress equal to or exceeding its threshold, which again in this case is 3 per Ranger, so 6 total, then you may travel. And to do that, there cannot be any ready obstacles. So in the event we chose not to travel, the next phase is refresh, and you ready all cards. So this obstacle would now ready again, so we would have to deal with it one way or another during the next round before we would have the opportunity to travel, because if we tried to travel at the end of the next round and it was still ready, that would prevent us from traveling. Luckily, we exhausted it, so we get to this travel step. We do have enough progress. We've got 6 progress. We need 3 per Ranger, so we have enough, so we may now choose to travel. So again, bringing out the Valley map, we could choose from Lone Tree Station one of the 4 adjacent locations, go to that location. We could assemble our path deck then. I've got a whole video on how to assemble the path deck, so you can go check that out if you need a refresher on that. And then let me show you what happens to our play area here. So all cards in your player area or your ranger area would remain unaffected. So any equipped gear you've got, those stay equipped. Any tokens you have on your gear, those stay. But any path cards that are out within reach or along the way, those are all going to go away. Just put them back in the path deck, and then you're going to assemble your new path deck. So if you were going to White Sky, for example, all these woods cards would go away, those woods terrain cards, and you'd replace them with the lakeshore cards. Then White Sky is another pivotal location, so any Lone Tree Station cards would go back in the pivotal locations deck, and you would find all the White Sky pivotal location cards. But if instead you decided you were going to go to Boulder Field, all the woods cards, you would be able to put them back in the path deck. You're going to shuffle it up again, but you're still going to have the woods terrain type, so you're going to be playing with them again. But then you would put all the pivotal location cards for Lone Tree Station back with the other pivotal location cards, and you would take 3 random cards from the Valley deck because Boulder Field is not a pivotal location, and you would take this then woods terrain deck and the 3 random Valley cards, shuffle them up, and then that is your new path deck. At this point, you would also take the Lone Tree Station location card, put it back in the box, and whichever location you are traveling to, you would take its card and place it face down, follow the directions on the back. There's usually a book entry to read, and it may have directions about arriving and setup. So you would want to take a look at those, and that might modify how you assemble your path deck, so definitely take a look at it before you shuffle all that up. But one thing to note while you're doing all that, just like this card had the obstacle keyword on it, some cards will have a keyword here that says persistent. And in that case, any cards with the persistent keyword will stay on the table even when you go to the next location. And that means let's say we're in the woods and we've got this woods terrain type out. Let's say there's a card that says persistent and it's out and it's from the woods, and now we're going to travel along the lakeshore. It doesn't matter that we're traveling on a new terrain type. We would put all the other woods cards away, add the Lakeshore cards to our path deck, but that persistent card is going to stay with us until we deal with it. And more information on that will be found on the card. And in that case, if you've got tokens on the card already, those tokens will stay as that card persists. Now, that's really what you need to know about traveling. So now I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about camping for a minute, because it kind of interacts with the idea of traveling and how you set up and what you can and can't do. So camping is a way to voluntarily end your play session. You end your day a bit early. So you may only choose to camp when you have decided to travel. And the main reason why you would choose to camp is when you camp, that's the only time that you can take the reward cards that you may have earned during play, either that day or previous days, and swap them into your Ranger deck for other cards. So in your Earthborne Rangers box, there's this divider for unlocked rewards. You're going to earn rewards as you play, and those cards will go into this section. But if you want to get them into your deck, you're going to have to camp. That is how you take cards out of your deck and add reward cards in their place. So that's kind of an important thing to do. But ideally, you want to get through most of your day. You want to get sort of down towards the bottom of your Ranger deck, because if you start your day and the first thing you do is just traverse the location really hard immediately and then travel and camp, that is the end of your day. So it's going to shorten your campaign and the number of actions you can take and things you do during the campaign. So you kind of want to do it towards the end of your day if possible, unless you really, really need that reward. So that is the advantage of camping, or the purpose behind why you would choose to camp and end your day, so you can modify your Ranger deck. So it is important. You're going to need to do it from time to time. But this can interact with missions. In particular, there are mission types that require you to go visit particular locations. So I'm just making this up. Let's say we're at Lone Tree Station and we have a mission that says go to White Sky. If that is your mission, and you travel and you decide to camp, you don't get to White Sky that day. So the timing can be really important. So if you decide to camp, you're going to pick your location and figure out, what terrain type you're traveling. So, okay, I'm going from Lone Tree Station, I'm traveling to White Sky, but I am choosing to camp. You immediately stop. You're going to put all the cards away, and the day is done. You can do your camping where you're going to swap cards in and out of your Ranger deck. But think of it as camping on the way to somewhere. So you have not made it to White Sky, you have not completed that mission. And depending on what type of mission it is, that mission might go away, or it might be time bound, so you might run out of days and then you don't complete the mission. So that can be really critical. You don't get to camp and arrive at White Sky in this example. You get to either travel to White Sky or you get to camp, but not both. So again, you're kind of camping along the way. And then the next time you set up the game, for your next game day, you would set it up with the White Sky location and the Lakeshore terrain type as the path type. And your campaign guide has a place to, track these things. Your location, you would write White Sky. Path terrain, you would write Lakeshore. And then the next time you set up, you use those pieces of information to set up your game. But you have not really made it to White Sky yet. So again, depending on the mission, you might fail or succeed at that mission depending on if you choose to travel or choose to camp. So hopefully that makes some sense. So that is really what you need to know about traveling and about camping. So if any of that was confusing, please let me know in the comments. I'll try and help you out. But I tried to be pretty thorough and give some examples, so I hope it was helpful. If you did think the video was useful, please leave a like, consider subscribing, or sharing the video with somebody else. I would appreciate that. And don't forget, I also have a Ko-fi page, ko-fi, link in the description. You can head over there to throw me a couple bucks, and that is always appreciated, and it helps me to keep the channel running. So thank you again to those of you who have done that. But I think that's it for this video. Again, if you have other questions about Earthborne Rangers stuff that I have not covered yet, let me know in the comments, and I'll consider making a rules refresher video and doing some research to try and help you out there. But otherwise, that's it. So thank you so much for watching Table for One. I hope you have an awesome week, and I'll see you in the next video.